Hey class, good morning. I hope you are having a great day with Mr. Lewis. So here's some instructions that I want to leave with you just remind you to make sure you're doing it, and hopefully you already are. But remember to be in your assigned seats with your materials, and your materials for today are just going to be your calculator and pencil. Okay, so hopefully you already have that. Your calculator and something to write with. Hopefully you have a pencil or you have someone that will let you borrow it. Okay, be on your best behavior. I don't want any individual reports or as a class. I'm keeping you in your groups. This does not mean you get to sit anywhere, and this does not mean you get to sit with your friends. I really hope that you sitting with your groups doesn't mean that you act different if you were, as opposed to you being in individual seats. Okay, so make sure you are where you need to be and doing what you're supposed to be doing. The third step, or the third instruction, is I want you to work independently on this assignment. The rest of this video is going to explain some of it. Otherwise, if you are still struggling, you may whisper and ask your partners questions on the assignment, but the conversation has to remain on topic, and you must whisper because I don't want you interrupting or disrupting your classmates. And finally, make sure I get this packet back at the end of the second block. Okay? All right, so if everyone has their packet in front of them, I'm going to go over an example, and then you're going to do the other one by yourself. Okay, so if you don't already have the assignment, make sure you pause the video and then have Mr. Lewis pass it out, or have someone pass it out for him. Okay. So what we discussed on Friday was the Pythagorean theorem. I gave you guys an example. We kind of went over the idea of what it is. So I hope this isn't completely brand new to you guys if you were here on Friday right before we went on Thanksgiving break. So the Pythagorean theorem says it's used to find any side of a right triangle when the other two sides are known. So if remember in the video it says if you have two sides, you can find a third. But that's the whole point of this. And remember, it must be a right triangle. Otherwise, if it's any other triangle, it will not work. It has to be a right triangle. Okay, so the longest side is the hypotenuse. And that was also in the video, so hopefully you guys remember that. And remember, if you remember, hopefully you do, and you've already filled this part out, but the formula for finding Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared, not a2 and b2, it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b, remember, are called the legs. Let me erase this really quick. Okay, so A and B are called the legs. Sorry, it's really hard to write on this thing right now. All right, there we go. And and C is called the hypotenuse, which is right there. C is the hypotenuse, if you need to know how to spell it. All right, over here on the right side, it says if you square a square root, they cancel each other out, and you get the number underneath the square root. So remember, we did this example on Friday. The opposite operation for square is to square root it. And it gives you an example right here. So then when you square the square root, those cancel each other out, and then your answer is going to be, well, this cancels out, so this is just still 144. 144. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do example 1 together. So I hope everyone's writing. This is the first example. Okay, so we know that our legs are the two sides opposite of the hypotenuse. or the two legs that aren't the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is the opposite side from the right angle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and label these, just like here are your steps. Here's what you need to focus on. Your steps are to label the triangle. So we're going to do that. We have A and B. And guess what the other side is? That's right, it's C. Okay, and we're going to write the formula every single time so you don't forget it. We have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And I also want you to get in the habit of saying it because I want you to know it's squared and not that little number 2. All right, next step is to substitute the values that we know. We know that A is 8, so we're going to put 8 squared. We know that B is 10, so we're going to put plus 10 squared. And we don't know the value of C yet, but we know it should be C squared. Okay, the next step is to take care of the exponents. So if we have something that looks like x squared, we know that really just means x times x. X times itself that many times. Okay, so then we're going to square the numbers. We know that 8 squared, if you need to use your calculator, you can. That's why it's a material that you need today. We know that 8 squared is 64. We know that 10 squared is 100. We don't know C squared yet, so we're just going to keep writing it. So at this point we have 64 plus 100 equals C squared. Then you will need to find the sum or difference, and in this case sum is what we're looking for because the sum is to add, and that's what we need to do. We need to add 64 and 100, which equals 164. Remember guys, we are trying to find C, not C squared, so we have to take the square root. We have to take the square root or else we are not finding our final answer. Okay, so we know that 164 equals C squared. Let me move this up. Okay. So the inverse operation, so this is going to be square root. I'm going to abbreviate it because this is hard to write on. Square root is the inverse. Remember the opposite. Inverse means opposite. Is the inverse of squaring a. That is a terrible A. Thank you for your patience, guys. Squaring a number. I'm just going to abbreviate all of this. That's not hashtag, that is the number sign. All right, so we have to square root 164. Now on your calculator, you're going to have to push second squared. And I hope at least someone on your table knows how to find the square root button. We did this like the first week of school. So I hope you remember or someone in your group remembers. And if just one person in the class remembers, remind everyone else how to find the square root button. But you will go ahead and square root 164. And that is going to equal 12.81. We're going to go ahead and round that number. So then guess what? C equals 12.81. And that is my final answer. Remember, some of these hypotenuses can be decimals. Okay, so if you get a decimal answer, it's okay. That is possible to get a decimal answer. All right, now on the other side of this chart, you cross this out. We're not going to find one around the room. You are going to solve a problem solve a problem of your own. So if you flip to the next page, you will find plenty of triangles that you will do the exact same steps for on this side. You're going to draw the triangle, you're going to label it, you're going to write the formula, substitute the values, do the exponents, find the sum or difference, and then simplify and take the square root and find the value of the hypotenuse, okay? The bottom of this page is something that we're going to do at another time, so you can skip where it's crossed out. So you're welcome for cutting your assignment shorter than you need. So go ahead and do that. Find a problem and then do that on the right side. I'm going to go over the rest of this really quick, and then you guys go ahead and get started. Okay, so the back side, just so you know, that I've put 6 extra credit problems. These problems are extra credit because this is you're finding another side. If you notice that we should know that the opposite of the right angle is the hypotenuse, right? Well, if they give us the hypotenuse, then we should be able to find the other missing side. Remember, if you're given 2 sides, you can find the third. These are extra credit because you're going to have to work backwards and actually you're going to be working opposite on these. If you can figure them out, then great. If not, we will go over them in class another day, so don't worry about it. That's why I made them extra credit. Okay, so you are welcome. All right, class. Well, hopefully I was able to go over some stuff with you. The instructions and what I expect of you today. I will be out, like I said, because I have to take a test. So it's not like I'm having fun without you. I am taking a test and that I'm kind of nervous about. So hopefully I do well on my test, and hopefully you do well on this assignment. And I hope you learned something. Be respectful just to Mr. Lewis, just like you're respectful to me every day. I don't want to get any bad reports. And I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving break and a restful time off. And I will see you in class on Tuesday. Okay? See you later.